We are live.
And without Lizzie, the mother of Baggins, she was not able to join us today, but she said she will watch. So we appreciate her being here Monday. It was fun to have her. The Valencar, a lot of people love seeing Lizzie here, so we appreciate it. I am Old New Dude. He is,
Richard York, Asher's trueborn son.
and this is Arya 5 on Hump Day. And I can kind of say this on Hump Day because of Peaches, the brothel that they go to.
That's right, the peach, yeah.
But like always, with the brains of the operation, he will say what he saw in the chapter, and then I'll jump in with my stupid stuff. So take it away, Richard.
And back at you, Chris the Crow waving from the wall. Storm 29, Arya 5. Maybe I'll go find that black-haired girl and ring her bell for her. Stony Sept was the biggest town Arya had seen since King's Landing, and Harwin said her father had won a famous battle here. The Mad King's men had been hunting Robert, trying to catch him before he could rejoin your father, he told her as they rode toward the gate. He was wounded, being tended by some friends, when Lord Cunnington, the Hand, took the town with a mighty force and started searching house by house. Before they could find him, though, Lord Eddard and your grandfather came down on the town and stormed the walls. Lord Cunnington fought back fierce. They battled in the streets and alleys, even on the rooftops, and all the Septons rang their bells so the small folk would know to lock their doors. Robert came out of hiding to join the fight when the bells began to ring. He slew 6 men that day, they say. One was Miles Mooton, a famous knight who'd been Prince Rhaegar's squire. He would have slain the Hand, too, but the battle never brought them together. Cunnington wounded your grandfather Tully sore, though, and killed Sir Dennis Arryn, the darling of the Vale. When he saw the day was lost, he flew off as fast as the griffins on his shield. The Battle of the Bells, they called it after. Robert always said your father won it, not him.
Hey,
Oh.
with the ladies of ill repute hiding Robert repeatedly, I actually wonder how many girls in this town have that Baratheon color hair.
Yeah, I specifically imply that he slept with a lot of them, or maybe all of them.
Yeah.
Anyway, more recent battles have been fought here as well, Arya thought from the look of the place. The town gates were made of raw new wood. Outside the walls, a pile of charred planks remained to tell what had happened to the old ones. Oh, I do think it's kind of interesting to read this when we've had Cunnington's point of view, right? And we know that Robert's not necessarily the greatest guy, and Cunnington is a pretty good guy. And so it's kind of like you first time you read it, you're all about Ned and therefore Robert, and then later on, after you've read Dance of Dragons, you're like that's a little more gray than we remember. Anyway,
Cunnington is a warrior and everything, but I kind of think of him as being anal retentive.
Okay. Stony Sept was closed up tight, but when the captain of the gate saw who they were, he opened a sally port for them. How you fixed for food? Tom asked as they entered. Not so bad as we were. The huntsman brought in a flock of sheep, and there's been some trading across the Blackwater. The harvest wasn't burned south of the river. Of course, there's plenty want to take what we got. Wolves one day, mummers the next. Them that's not looking for food are looking for plunder or woman to rape, and them that's not out for gold or wenches are looking for the bloody Kingslayer. Talk is, he slipped right through Lord Edmure's fingers. Lord Edmure? Lem frowned. Is Lord Hoster dead then? Dead or dying? Think Lannister might be making for the Blackwater? It's the quickest way to King's Landing, the huntsman swears. The captain did not wait for an answer. He took his dogs out for a sniff around. If Sir Jamie's hereabouts, they'll find him. I've seen them dogs rip bears apart. Think they'll like the taste of lion blood? So this chapter deliberately sets up Jamie being captured, only to tell us at the end it is someone else, right?
Yeah.
Lizzie is waving from the nerd cave. LOL, dude said anal retentive, cackles. I love this next line. A chewed up corpse is no good to no one, said Lem. The huntsman bloody well knows that, too. So that's some interesting foreshadowing for someone to bring back an unidentifiable corpse and claim it's Jamie. Brienne is tasked with killing Jamie. She was not to bring him back for a trial. Catelyn does not believe in trials. She told Lysa, even after she publicly promised Tyrion a trial, that it was still not too late to deny him a trial. She denied Meryn a trial. She denied Brienne a trial. She denied Hyle a trial. She denied Pod a trial. I really don't see her suddenly going against her character with Jamie, Plus, we know Brienne promised to kill him without a trial. We've seen lots of characters promise to kill people, and they rarely actually die. Just ask Bran, Rickon, Davos, or Gregor.
Yeah. Hey, Charles.
Charles is waving from Highgarden.
Yeah.
So anyway,
so you're saying Brienne is going to bring back the body, the chewed up body of the observer?
If there is an observer, yeah,
if
that
there
would
is
be my,
one.
that would be my choice. If it's not, if there's not an observer, then she can just find some bones around, as Jamie says. There's plenty of bones to be found.
Right.
And she probably needs to take back his golden hand. That would be my guess, is that she'd bring back maybe an unidentifiable head and a golden hand.
Oh,
you're flipping sides on us again.
Well, you do most of the talking anyways. You might as well go first. Well, I mean, there are plenty of objects in this story that are immediately identifiable to certain people, like Tormund's gold bands. You got John's Longclaw. You got Sir Arthur Dane's Dawn. You got Jamie's.
Davos's finger bones.
Jamie's hand, finger bone.
Absolutely.
You got them looking for Tyrion's dwarf face without a nose. I mean, there's and even people have tried to turn.
That's a good point. Tyrion's another person that people are trying to kill and promise that they've killed and haven't actually killed. That's a good point. I didn't include him on that list. But we've seen lots of people say, "I'm going to kill someone," and they hardly ever do. They always bring back somebody else's dead corpse.
I know that Brienne is without a doubt the most honorable person in this story.
Which is why she's the one you'd least suspect would do that, and you'd have to be a complete moron to actually not believe her when she comes back and says, "This is Jamie's hand, and I killed Jamie," because she is. Yeah. Unless you just don't trust anybody in the world, right?
Yeah.
Either you don't know Brienne, which is not the case with Catelyn, or you just don't trust anybody in the world, which is not the case with Catelyn. She told Ned to trust Littlefinger of all people.
Right. Well, okay. One quick side note: for those that I actually chat with on the phone for my drives and everything, when you see me on the video here going like this with Richard,
that's what you're doing.
Exactly what I do on the chat in the car every time you're talking. I'm driving down the road, going like this, and people will be looking at me like, "What is wrong with this person?" But I think Brienne, with the love that she's feeling for Jamie, the feelings that she has for Jamie, she owes Jamie.
It's the obvious solution to her problem. It's how everybody in this story solves this problem.
Right.
Anyway, Lizzie says, imagine how many people's spot would be blown up if DNA tests came to Westeros. They at least need paternity tests. Anyway.
Like Maury Povich, you are not the father.
When the Westermen came through, they raped the huntsman's wife and sister, put his crops to the torch, ate half his sheep, and killed the other half for spite. Killed 6 dogs, too, and threw the carcasses down as well. A chewed-up corpse would be plenty good enough for him, I'd say. Me as well. He'd best not, said Lem. That's all I got to say. He'd best not, and you're a bloody fool. Best not try and steal my bird, Lark. Best not. Lem sounds a lot like Lenny. I mean, both his speech sounds like Small Paul, who is our Lenny character, and his name sounds like Lenny.
Listen to how smart and intelligent Lem is.
Well, he does speak as if he's lowborn, though. The way he
exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. Is he's smarter than he lets on to be.
Okay. Fair enough. Arya rode between Harwin and Anguy as the outlaws moved down the streets where her father once had fought. She could see the sept on its hill, and below it a stout, strong holdfast of gray stone that looked much too small for such a big town. But every third house they passed was a blackened shell, and she saw no people. Are all the townfolk dead? Only shy. Anguy pointed out 2 bowmen on a roof and some boys with sooty faces crouched in the rubble of an alehouse. Farther on, a baker threw open a shuttered window and shouted down to Lem. The sound of his voice brought more people out of hiding, and stony sept slowly seemed to come to life around them. In the market square at the town's heart stood a fountain in the shape of a leaping trout, spouting water into a shallow pool. Women were filling pails and flagons there. A few feet away, a dozen iron cages hung from creaking wooden posts. Crow cages, Arya knew. The crows were mostly outside the cages, splashing in the water or perched atop the bars. Inside were men. Lem reined up, scowling. What's this now?
Man, that has got to
Justice.
be the most horrible way in this. I mean, getting burned alive would hurt, but it would eventually end pretty quickly.
It'd be faster, yeah.
Yeah, getting your head chopped off. I mean, unless the person sucked at it, you're looking at almost instant death. Um, Granted, Baron de Brown or whatever his name is tells us you stab somebody in their stomach, it's a death, but it's a slow, painful death. The crow cage with no food, no water, like the big guy in there that can't move, and crows are just slowly just peeling away at him. I mean,
Yeah, the crow part's the problem, right? I mean, dying of thirst is sort of how we typically end life of humans today, right? We typically will
right.
shut off a feeding tube and they'll die of thirst. So that if we believe that that's horrific, then we shouldn't be doing what we're doing. But I think that but like you said, the crows are ripping these people apart.
Yeah. What was I going to say?
Pod says, okay, but it's possible for him to be brought to Stoneheart when her intention is not to give a trial but execute him. We've also seen her conduct executions with no trial. Yeah, sure. That's
Yeah.
that's a possibility. It's not what Brienne vowed to do, and it seems kind of silly for her to go along with that. Is kind of my point. When we've seen the same problem posed to character after character after character after character, and they all solve it the same way, it seems
Yeah.
likely that we're going to see it solved the same way. That's all I'm saying.
Her word was not trial. Her word was sword that
Right.
saved her from being hanged. So, I mean,
Take the
yeah,
sword and kill the Kingslayer. It's not take the sword and escort him back here for a trial, which is how all the fandom seems to act like that's what the choice
yeah,
was. It was take the sword and slay the Kingslayer. You promised to kill him.
yeah.
If you should say sword, you're promising to kill Jaime. You're not promising to give him a trial. You're not promising to bring him back. You're promising to kill him. And that's what all these people who promise to kill people have done. Like pretty much without exception, what they do is they don't kill them.
Well, I mean, I agree that she's not going to kill Jaime, and I'm probably 70-30, 80-20 on that a unrecognizable corpse in Golden Hand is going to be the
Yeah,
answer to this
which
riddle.
which puts us in the minority of the fandom, obviously.
That's okay.
Yep. What else is new?
Look, man, I got. Excuse me. I don't have 200 followers. I only have like 84 because apparently the video count it just increases every
Right.
time we have a video. But I mean, there's not that many people that agree with us on a lot of things.
Yep. Justice, answered a woman at the fountain. What, did you run short a hempen rope? Was this done at Sir Wilbert's decree? Asked Tom. A man laughed bitterly. The lions killed Sir Wilbert a year ago. His sons are all off with the young wolf, getting fat in the west. You think they give a damn for the likes of us? It was the mad huntsman caught these wolves. Would Brienne lie to save Jaime if Pod's life is at stake, though? Well, that's just it, right? She needs them to believe that she did what she said she would do, which means she needs them to believe that she killed Jaime.
Yeah,
We don't need many people to agree with us. It's quality, not quantity.
exactly.
Right?
Look,
she needs them in order to save Pod's life. They have to believe that she killed Jaime and did not bring him back for trial. That's what she promised to do. So that's what she has to do. If she brings him back for trial, she risks having him killed because that means she violated her oath. She can't do that. She has to bring back a corpse.
Anyway. A corpse, or at least proof this is his golden hand. I mean,
right.
Yeah.
At a minimum, we'll see that golden hand brought back. Yeah,
I tend to agree. Lizzie, what's going to happen is 20 years from now, when the books are finally done, historians are going to come back and look at me and Richard and go, they were pretty good. And they're definitely going to say, well, that old new dude guy, they're going to say that old new dude guy was correct on who he thought Tormund was.
Where were we? It was the Mad Huntsman that caught these wolves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wolves. Arya went cold. Robb's men and my father's. She felt drawn toward the cages. That's an interesting statement right there. She felt drawn toward the cages. It kind of sounds like it could be some Brantham leaping or something.
little bit.
I don't know
I
why it
think
would be
it's more.
necessary, but
Yeah, it's just not necessary, but it could be.
it's probably just
Uh,
her desire for mercy. Yeah.
right. These are Northmen. I mean,
The books are done. We are proven right. I have some very diuretic ravens to send out. No reason. The bars allowed so little room that prisoners could neither sit nor turn. They stood naked, exposed to sun and wind and rain. The first three cages held dead men. Carrion crows had eaten out their eyes, yet the empty sockets seemed to follow her. The fourth man in the row stirred as she passed. Round his mouth, his ragged beard was thick with blood and flies. They exploded when he spoke, buzzing around his head. Water! The word was a croak. Please, water!
I
The man in
don't
the next
know
cage.
if it was done in the book club, but the empty eye sockets following her um, is a reminiscent of the
Oh
dragon
yeah,
skulls underneath
yeah.
King's Landing, and it could also
Or
be the Brandon
the
leaping or
crypts.
three-eyed crow looking through.
Well, it's
Um,
also reminiscent of the crypts of Winterfell as well.
yeah, that too. If it was said at book club, I want to say it was Lady Thistle or somebody. It popped in my head, which chances are might mean that I already heard it before, so I don't want to take any credit for it
Fair
whatsoever.
enough. The man in the next cage opened his eyes at the sound. Here, he said, here, me. An old man he was. His beard was gray and his scalp was bald and mottled brown with age. There was another dead man beyond the old one, a big red-bearded man with a rotting gray bandage covering his left ear and part of his temple. But the worst thing was between his legs, where nothing remained but a crusted brown hole crawling with maggots. Farther down was a fat man. The crow cage was so cruelly narrow, it was hard to see how they'd ever gotten him inside. The iron dug painfully into his belly, squeezing bulges out between the bars. Long days baking in the sun had burned him a painful red from head to heel. When he shifted his weight, his cage creaked and swayed, and Arya could see pale white stripes where the bars had shielded his flesh from the sun.
Hey, doesn't a person die after 3 days without water?
Yeah, approximately, yeah.
Okay.
Whose men were you? She asked them. The sound of her voice, the fat man opened his eyes. The skin around them was so red they looked like boiled eggs floating in a dish of blood. Water, a drink. Whose? She said again. Pay them no mind, boy, the townsman told her. They're none of your concern. Ride on by. What did they do? She asked him. They put 8 people to the sword at Tumbler's Falls, he said. They wanted the Kingslayer, but he wasn't there, so they did some rape and murder. He jerked a thumb toward the corpse with maggots where his manhood ought to be. That one there did the raping. Now move along. A swallow, the fat one called down. Ha, mercy, boy, a swallow. The old one slid an arm up to grasp the bars. The motion made his cage swing violently. Water, gasped the one with the flies in his beard. She looked at their filthy hair and scraggly beards and reddened eyes, at their dry, cracked, bleeding lips. Wolves, she thought again, like me. Was this her pack? How could they be Rob's men? She wanted to hit them. She wanted to hurt them. She wanted to cry. They all seemed to be looking at her, the living and the dead alike. The old man had squeezed 3 fingers out between the bars. Water, he said, water. Arya swung down from her horse. They can't hurt me, they're dying. She took her cup from her bedroll and went to the fountain. What do you think you're doing, boy? The townsman snapped. They're no concern of yours. She raised the cup to the fish's mouth. The water splashed across her fingers and down her sleeve, but Arya did not move until the cup was brimming over. When she turned back toward the cages, the townsman moved to stop her. You get away from them, boy. She's a girl, said Harwin. Leave her be. Aye, said Lamb. Lord Beric don't hold with Cajun men to die of thirst. Why don't you hang them decent? There was nothing decent about them things they did at Tumbler's Falls. Townsman growled right back at him. The bars were too narrow to pass a cup through, but Harwin and Gendry offered her a leg up. She planted a foot in Harwin's cupped hands, vaulted onto Gendry's shoulders, and grabbed the bars on top of the cage. Fatman turned his face up and pressed his cheek to the iron, and Arya poured the water over him. He sucked at it eagerly and let it run down over his head and cheeks and hands. Then he licked the dampness off the bars. He would have licked Arya's fingers if she hadn't snatched them back. By the time she served the other two the same, a crowd had gathered to watch her. The mad huntsman will hear of this, a man threatened. He won't like it. No, he won't. He'll like this even less then. Angai strung his longbow, slid an arrow from his quiver, knocked, drew, loosed. The fat man shuddered as the shaft drove up between his chins, but the cage would not let him fall. 2 more arrows ended the other 2 Northmen. The only sound in the market square was the splash of falling water and the buzzing of flies. Valar Morghulis, Arya thought.
I
Um,
really like the men that are with Arya here.
oh
Lim
yeah,
and Guy. I mean, Thomas Seven Strings, Jack B. Lucky. I mean, granted, they might not be the best people in Westeros or anything, but they all seem to have a really good heart. They all seem to
oh yeah,
have, uh, uh,
absolutely.
yeah, they're good people for her to be around.
On the east side of the market square stood a modest inn with whitewashed walls and broken. And of course, we know they're not actually Rob's men, right? They're specifically the men that abandoned him. But anyway,
Right, they're Karstark men.
yep. Stood a modest inn with whitewashed walls and broken windows. Half its roof had burnt off recently, but the whole had been patched over. Above the door hung a wooden shingle painted as a peach, with a big bite taken out of it. They dismounted at the stable sitting catty corner, and Greenbeard bellowed for grooms. The buxom red-haired innkeep howled with pleasure at the sight of them, then promptly set to tweaking them. Greenbeard, is it? Or Graybeard? Mother, take mercy. When did you get so old? Lem, is that you? Still wearing the same ratty cloak, are you? I know why you never wash it, I do. You're afraid all the piss will wash out and we'll see you're really a knight of the King's Guard. So we've
Yes,
referred to this. We've referred to this line about Lem's cloak previously. He may have been promoted to Kingsguard on the battlefield. He really does seem to respect his cloak as if it is sacred to him, and it's kind of weird, right? So the
yeah,
fact that
yeah, I do
love her,
love her too. Well, I mean, when you train in martial arts or Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, whatever it is, when you get a belt, you wash the gi, but you never wash the belt because you wash the knowledge that came along with that belt.
right? That's the history of the black belt, right? Is that
Exactly.
yeah.
That the belt had never been washed and eventually had turned black, but now they just use different color belts. But you're still not supposed to wash them.
Well, I mean, we really do see this concept of like people getting promoted in battle in the history, and so it makes you wonder if the if they this could be what happened, and so
Either
um,
that or the respect that he had for the person that was wearing the cloak. Um, Either or. But yeah, I like the Battlefield Commission. Uh, uh,
that's really cool. I didn't know that about the black belts. I think Lady Thistle saying. Yep.
yeah. Oh, remind me at the very end of this, there's something that I heard today that I want to make sure I say today, and it involves Hodor. Okay.
All right, let me write that down. All right, I got it written down.
Okay.
Now I gotta get back to the now I gotta get back to the where I was. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Bala Morgul.
Oh yeah, we're for the line. There it is. Okay.
Okay.
And Thomas Sevens, you randy old goat. You come to see that son of yours? Well, you're too late. He's off riding with the bloody huntsman. And don't tell me he's not yours. He hasn't got my voice, Tom protested weakly. He's got your nose, though. I and the other parts as well to hear the girls talk. She spied Gendry then and pinched him on the cheek. Look at this fine young ox. Wait till Alice sees those arms. Oh, and he blushes like a maid, too. Well, Alice will fix that for you, boy. See if she don't. I had never seen Gendry turn so red. Lizzie says, Hodor. Tansy, you leave the bull alone. He's a good lad, said Tom Seven Strings.
Oh,
All we need.
wow. This is the Riverlands. The lady's name is Tansy.
Uh huh.
Could she be the person that Lord Hoster got?
Oh, you know what? That's kind of interesting because, well, yeah, it's possible that because I mean they were thinking of people and Kat says that she knows who he was thinking of, but maybe it really was Tansy that the Maester was thinking of or whatever, right?
Mhm.
That's interesting. And we're gonna get another name here that's really important too. So
Okay.
let's okay. Um, all we need from you is safe beds for a night. Speak for yourself, singer. Anguy slid his arms around a strapping young serving girl as freckly as he was. Beds we got, said red-haired Tansy. There's never been no lack of beds at the Peach, but you'll all climb in a tub first. Last time you lot stayed under my roof, you left your fleas behind. She poked Greenbeard in the chest. And yours was green, too. You want food? If you can spare it, we won't say no, Tom conceded. Now, when did you ever say no to anything, Tom? The woman hooted. I'll roast some mutton for your friends and an old dry rat for you. It's more than you deserve, but if you gargle me a song or three, might be all weakened. I always pity the afflicted. Come on, cast. Lana. Put some kettles on. Jazine, help me get the clothes off them. We'll need to boil those too. So we got a sex worker named Lyanna in the Riverlands, which could be potentially a Lannister bastard, referring to Tyrion's trueborn daughter, and likely named for Lan the Clever.
Ah, nice.
Mm-hmm. Yep. She made good on all her threats. Arya tried to tell him that she'd been bathed twice at Acorn Hall. Not a fortnight passed, but the red-haired woman was having none of it. 2 serving wenches carried her up the stairs bodily, arguing about whether she was a girl or a boy. The one called Helly won, so the other had to fetch the hot water and scrub Arya's back with a stiff, bristly brush that almost took her skin off. Then they stole all the clothes that Lady Smallwood had given her and dressed her up like one of Sansa's dolls in linen and lace. But at least when they were done, she got to go down and eat. As she sat in the common room in her stupid girl clothes, Arya remembered what Sira Farrell had told her, the trick of looking and seeing what was there. When she looked, she saw more serving wenches than any inn could want, and most of them young and comely. And come evenfall, lots of men started coming and going at the Peach. They did not linger long in the common room, not even when Tom took out his wood harp and began to sing Six Maids in a Pool. The wooden steps were old and steep and creaked something fierce whenever one of the men took a girl upstairs. I bet this is a brothel, she whispered to Gendry. You don't even know what a brothel is. I do so, she insisted. It's like an inn with girls. He was turning red again. What are you doing here then? He demanded. A brothel's no fit place for no bloody highborn lady. Everybody knows that. One of the girls sat down on the bench beside him. Who's a highborn lady? This little skinny one? She looked at Arya and laughed. I'm a king's daughter myself. One of the things, of course, is that there was the last time that Ned saw Kat she was a highborn lady at a brothel. Anyway. Arya knew she was being mocked. You are not. Well, I might be. When the girl shrugged, her gown slipped off one shoulder. They say King Robert fucked my mother when he hid here back before the battle. Not that he didn't have all the other girls too, but Leslin says he liked my ma the best. The girl did have hair like the old king's, Arya thought. A great thick mop of it, as black as coal. That doesn't mean anything, though. Gendry has the same kind of hair, too. Lots of people have black hair. Lots of people have Robert as their father, too.
Yeah, it's true. It's 16 or 20. I can't remember. I think it's 16 in the show and 20 in the books, or the other way around.
I can't remember what Maggie says, but and is there some time where somebody gives a count to Ned, maybe Littlefinger or Varys? Anyway, I feel like there's a count that it's lower than the Maggie count, so the person doesn't know all of them.
Okay.
But anyway. I'm named Bella, the girl told Gendry, for the battle. I bet I could ring your bell, too. You want to? No, he said gruffly. I bet you do. She ran a hand along his arm. I don't cost nothing to friends of the Thoros and the Lightning Lord. No, I said. Gendry rose abruptly and stalked away from the table out into the night. Bella turned to Arya. Don't he like girls? Arya shrugged. He's just stupid. He likes to polish helmets and beat on swords with hammers. Is that what the kids are calling it these days?
Gotta be careful. They don't got glasses back then.
Oh, Bella tugged her gown back over her shoulder and went to talk with Jack Be Lucky. Before long, she was sitting in his lap, giggling and drinking wine from his cup. Greenbeard had 2 girls, one on each knee. Anguy had vanished with his freckle-faced wench, and Lem was gone as well. Tom Sevenstring sat by the fire singing. The maids that bloom in spring. Arya sipped the cup of watered wine the red-haired woman had allowed her, listening. Across the square, the dead men were rotting in their crow cages, but inside the Peach, everyone was jolly. Except it seemed to her that some of them were laughing too hard somehow. Of course, that's because people are trying to put their troubles aside. They're deliberately trying, right?
Right. I also took it as possible spies, but I mean.
Oh yeah, and what was Gendry wearing? Why is that so funny?
That I always when they say something about a girl, that something happened to the girl, I'm like, but what was she wearing? And
okay.
That's my line here, Pod.
Okay,
Still my thunder.
It could also be indicative of the fact that there's sex workers here who are forcing their laughs and aren't really that amused by the
true.
jokes.
I didn't think about that. That's a nice catch there.
It would have been a good time to sneak away and steal a horse, but Arya couldn't see how that would help her. She could only ride as far as the city gates. That captain would never let me pass, and if he did, Harwin would come after me, or that huntsman with his dogs. She wished she had her map so she could see how far Stony Sept was from River Run. By the time her cup was empty, Arya was yawning. Gendry hadn't come back. Tom Seven Strings was singing Two Hearts That Beat as One, kissing a different girl at the end of every verse. In the corner by the window, Lem and Harwin sat talking to red-haired Tansy in low voices. Spent the night in Jamie's cell, she heard the woman say. Her and this other wench, the one who slew Renly. All three of them together. And come the morn, Lady Catelyn cut him loose for love. She gave a throaty chuckle. So this is technically correct, the best kind of correct. Like Shadrach, she does things for love. I mean, they literally spent the night, the three of them, in that cell, and then she let him go for love, in the same way that Shadrach is after Sansa for love. But
right, the love of her daughters. So yeah,
right.
I agree.
Of course, we think that's the same way that Shadrach's in love, doing it for love. Although he says he then turns around and says for love of gold. But anyway.
Well, I mean, I just think that it is really nice touch because everybody's like, "Where's Howland Reed during all this?" And he was,
and then he's giving you all these clues that kind of indicate that Shadrach is Howland Reed, and yet people aren't getting it. Yep.
Well, I mean, if you had never told me Toodle's theory on that, I'd have never guessed it.
And Blue Lemons came to the same conclusion independently too.
Okay, but yeah, well, I mean, without you telling me, because I'd have never found them, but without you telling me, I would have never known. And when it was revealed, it would have been the biggest moment in the books for me because I mean, he was right there in plain sight, and nobody saw him.
Yeah,
except for a few.
Yep, it's not true. Arya thought. She never would. She felt sad and angry and lonely all at once. The old man sat down beside her. Well, aren't you a pretty little peach? His breath smelled near as foul as the dead men in the cages, and his little pig eyes were crawling up and down her. Does my sweet peach have a name? For half a heartbeat, she forgot who she was supposed to be. She wasn't any peach, but she couldn't be Arya Stark either. Not here with some smelly drunk she did not know. She's my sister. Gendry put a heavy hand on the old man's shoulder and squeezed. Leave her be. Man turned, spoiling for a quarrel. When he saw Gendry's size, he thought better of it. Your sister, is she? What kind of brother are you? I'd never bring no sister of mine to the peach, that I wouldn't. He got up from the bench and moved off, muttering in search of a new friend. Why did you say that? Arya hopped to her feet. You're not my brother. That's right, he said angrily. I'm too bloody lowborn to be kin to Milady High. So if Arya is a lord's bastard and Gendry is a king's bastard, this is quite ironic.
Yeah. Well, you know my opinion on it. I think it's actually reversed. I think that
Arya makes it even more ironic. Right, makes it even more ironic if he's actually the true-born son of a
I know, gray area. This is her least favorite theory. She hates it. She can't stand it being brought up whatsoever that Gendry is actually true-born. But I like it. I mean,
yeah, it does add additional irony, and I usually prefer the interpretation that maximizes the irony.
Yes.
I was taken aback by the fear in his voice. That's not the way I meant it. Yes, it is. He sat down on the bench, cradling a cup of wine between his hands. Go away. I want to drink this wine in peace. Then maybe I'll go find that black-haired girl and ring her bell for her. But I said go away, milady. Arya whirled and left him there. Stupid, bull-headed bastard boy, that's all he is. He could ring all the bells he wanted. It was nothing to her. Their sleeping room was at the top of the stairs, under the eaves. Maybe the Peach had no lack of beds, but there was only one to spare for the likes of them. It was a big bed, though. It filled the whole room just about, and the musty straw-stuffed mattress looked large enough for all of them. Just now, though, she had it to herself. Her real clothes were hanging from a peg on the wall between Gendry's stuff and Lem's. Arya took off the linen and lace, pulled her tunic over her head, climbed up into the bed, and burrowed under the blankets. Queen Cersei, she whispered into the pillow. King Joffrey, Sir Ilyn, Sir Meryn, Dunson, Raff, and Polliver, the Tickler, the Hound, and Sir Gregor the Mountain. She liked to mix up the order of the names sometimes. It helped her remember who they were and what they'd done. Maybe some of them are dead, she thought. Maybe they're in iron cages someplace, and the crows are picking out their eyes. Well, one of them is going to be at the very end of this chapter, I guess. Sleep came as quick as she closed her eyes. She dreamed of wolves that night, stalking through a wet wood. The smell of rain and rot and blood thick in the air. Only they were good smells in the dream, and Arya knew she had nothing to fear. She was strong and swift and fierce, and her pack was all around her brothers and her sisters. They ran down a frightened horse together, torch thrown out and feasted. And when the moon broke through the clouds, she threw back her head and howled. When the day came, she woke to the barking of dogs.
Hey,
Arya sat up.
I wonder if that horse is one of the horses that Jamie, Brienne, and Frey had before Frey was killed and Jamie and Brienne were captured. Because you got the old horse that probably would not been taken. They had Jamie and
Yeah.
Brienne riding together.
Yeah, I think one of them does go missing, doesn't it? I think you're right. I think
Yeah,
one of the horses specifically goes missing after Cleos dies. Yeah, that may be
yeah.
right. Oh, interesting. Arya sat up yawning. Gundy was stirring on her left, and Lemoncloak snoring loudly to her right, but the baying outside all but drowned him out. There must be 100 dogs out there. She crawled from under the blankets and hopped over Lem, Tom, and Jack Be Lucky to the window. When she opened the shutters wide, wind and wet and cold all came flooding in together. The day was gray and overcast. Down below, in the square, the dogs were barking, running in circles, growling and howling. There was a pack of them, great black mastiffs and lean wolfhounds, and black and white sheepdogs, and kinds Arya did not know, shaggy, brindled beasts with long yellow teeth. Between the inn and the fountain, a dozen riders sat astride their horses, watching the townsman open the fat man's cage and tug his arm until his swollen corpse spilled out onto the ground. The dogs were at him at once, tearing chunks of flesh off his bones. Arya heard one of the riders laugh. "Here's your new castle, you bloody Lannister bastard," he said. "Little snug for the likes of you. We'll squeeze you in, never fret." Beside him, a prisoner sat sullen, with coils of hempen rope tight around his wrists. Some of the townsmen were throwing dung at him, but he never flinched. "You'll rot in them cages," his captor was shouting. "The crows will be picking out your eyes while we're spending all that good Lannister gold of yours. When them crows are done, we'll send what's left of you to your bloody brother, though I doubt he'll know you." Of course, that all could be, referring to Tyrion, for example, right? And that they're emphasizing Lannister and so forth.
Yeah.
The noise had woken half the peach. Gendry squeezed into the window beside Arya, and Tom stepped up behind them, naked as his name day. "What's all that bloody shouting?" Lem complained from bed. "Man's trying to get some bloody sleep." "Where's Greenbeard?" Tom asked him. "Bed with Tansy," Lem said. "Why?" "Best find him. Archer too. The mad huntsman's come back with another man for the cages." "Lannister," said Arya. "I heard him say Lannister." "Have they caught the Kingslayer?" Gendry wanted to know. Down in the square, a thrown stone caught the captive on the cheek, turning his head. Not the Kingslayer, Arya thought when she saw his face. The gods had heard her prayers after all. Up next, Storm 30, John 4, The Climb. And then remind you of Hodor.
Okay. I was listening to a YouTube video on Norse gods and stuff like that, and trying to broaden some of my knowledge. And I'm pretty sure probably Lady Thistle knows this, and if she said it before, please let me know. The god that kills Balder when Loki tricks him to shoot him with mistletoe, which was the one thing Balder was accepted to being killed by. All the other weapons his mother had made them promise not to harm her son. Mistletoe was too young to swear the vow, so he dies. That god's name is either Hod, and then it's also sometimes pronounced Hodor.
Hodor, or Hodor. Yep.
Yeah, and he kills the son of Odin, but he also avenges the son that gets killed. I think I might have misremembered that, but as soon as he said Hodor, I was like, light bulb. Does that have anything to do with the Hodor in our story?
Mm-hmm.
You got a quick rundown on that?
Sure.
That person?
Yep. Balder's mother made everything in existence swear never to harm Balder except for the mistletoe, which she found too unimportant to ask. The gods amused themselves by trying weapons on Balder and seeing them fail to do any harm. Loki, the mischief maker, upon finding out about Balder's one weakness, made a spear from mistletoe and helped Hodor shoot it at Balder. In reaction to this, Odin and the giantess Rindr gave birth to Vali, grew to adulthood within a day, and slew Hodor. The Danish historian recorded an alternative version of the myth. Mortal hero, some of the demigod complete for the hand of Nana. Interesting. Ultimately, Haethus slays Balderus. I don't know. Hodor can be translated as warrior, comparable with the Old Norse for war and slaughter, related to the Old English for brave, stout in war, battle. Anyway, yeah. Oh, I don't know. Maybe brave and stout in war is kind of where he's going with it.
Yeah. I mean, I tend to agree with Pod. Does the guy hold the door? That no. But it was just, I don't know. It piqued my curiosity of of a rabbit hole to possibly go down just to do the what if.
Brave, stout in war. Right? That's pretty similar. Right, Pod.
Right.
That's anyway. That's the Old English. Howdor or something like that. Howdior, yeah, something like that. So,
I can't pronounce
it's
words.
related to. Yeah, I have no idea how to pronounce that, but the Old English for brave, stout, and war is kind of related to the name apparently.
Okay.
So,
now
anyway.
this is what the little rabbit hole that I went down. Even though I think Pod is right, Hodor is tricked by Loki. Okay, and if you could switch Loki for the three-eyed crow, possibly tricking Hodor into killing Bloodraven, or I mean, I don't know. He's scared of the dark.
Oh, but the only time you can be brave is when you're afraid, Pod.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
he's clearly going to be brave when he's holding the door. That's the point, right? Brave, stout, and war is referring to that particular moment. Is my point.
Yeah.
I mean, his name isn't Hodor.
But can you see Loki being switched for the three-eyed crow, possibly? And
yeah,
something
absolutely.
happening
That makes a lot
of
of sense to me. And of course, his real name is Waldor.
So you're going to hold the wall?
Yeah, that's what it implies, is that he's going to hold the black gate or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice. I like that.
Yeah.
Ooh. I like that even
better.
Because
it implies the door in the wall. That's the main door in the wall that we know of.
Oh, crap. Boom.
Because his name is Walder, and Walder sounds like Waldor.
Oh, crap. So it's not at the cave, man. Oh,
that's what it sounds like. I mean, that's what it sounds like.
So he can still die holding it. It's just the old face eats him.
Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully someday we'll find out.
Yeah, you ain't lying. Hopefully we find out and wins the winner, because I don't want to wait till Dream of String to find that one. Dream of String.
No doubt.
But yeah. Like I said, I tend to agree with Pod on the subject, but I really do like the rabbit hole that it opened up. And here's the stupid reason I was looking at the Norse gods. With Shazam and Shazam Fear of the Gods and Black Adam, I've been watching it. When I run out of things to do, I tend to watch movies I've seen before, and I kind of like those movies. And I'm glad I asked the guys on the ride this morning, what would be the Norse gods equivalent to the Shazam? And that's Drew's supposed to be looking it up. I start looking it up. God of strength, power, whatever. Speed. I know speed is Hermon, the god of speed. Oh, excuse me, god of speed. But it was a little rabbit hole I like to go down on different.
And we all know this. The show is the true canon, and so of course Pod is right. Yeah. Or the others break eventually through and kill him instead of the door eating him. Yep.
Oh, true. But I do like the wall door, man. That is a really nice catch.
I've heard it from lots of people, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, I haven't, so I appreciate it. All right. You got anything else?
Nah, I think that's plenty.
Okay. Yeah, I got the wife at the house, and then my son's still kind of sort of sick. He's finally getting over it. I'm feeling worse, which I told Richard before we started. He's getting over his COVID, and I told him that since he has not been wearing a mask when we do the live streams, he gave me a computer virus, because now I'm feeling bad.
It was brave to say that, and lucky no lightning struck you, said Lizzie. Yeah, I was actually kind of saying it because that's what Pod always says.
Okay. All right. We appreciate everybody joining us today. This is actually I like the chapter. It's a good chapter. It's not a long, not a long chapter, but it's still a good
No,
one. We
it's
see
not. Yep,
a lot of character building when it comes to Arya's companions. I mean, I really love her companions. So,
absolutely.
all right. Friday will be John. Um, Apparently, we will not be doing a live stream Monday
I
because
suppose not.
apparently everybody's got something else to do. I
Yeah,
don't know what that
this couple
is.
Mondays or
A bunch of
this couple
selfish
Mondays
people.
are holidays,
And
so
then
it makes sense.
I would check with Richard to see if we pick back up on Wednesday or not. But we will see all y'all
Yeah,
Friday.
maybe not. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, at least this Friday and then the following Friday probably, maybe. But
Maybe.
all right, we'll see y'all Friday. Thank y'all for joining us. We do appreciate it. Have fun, and like I said, the people I was chatting to, um, I'm an hour later leaving to go pick people up, so it's 3 o'clock my time. I try to open up for a chat. So if you're available, please jump on. If not, I will see y'all Friday. Y'all be good. Take care.
Sounds
Bye,
good.
Richard.
Bye. Talk to
All
you, Lizzie.
right, y'all.